every moment is just amazing out on the ice. And this past year, we were able to play somewhat of a season in college, being like quote unquote my first year out, and I felt different out on the ice. I finally became that person 100% that I was never able to be.
Why don't we start off by you telling everybody who you are?
I am Steven. I'm from Warwick, New York. I am a left winger, currently in Division III ACHA college, studying communications. And I recently just came out last July.
Congratulations on coming out. Um, and I hope that you're feeling strong and powerful and happy being your authentic self.
Yeah, it was a bit of a change going from like the closet to now being out and open. And I mean, I've had tremendous supporters, including yourself, Curtis Gabriel, a lot of NHL players actually. I mean, my story is a little unique than the regular person who does come out because I had a lot of NHL support.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And how did you get into hockey?
I was around 3 years old, and it's funny because my dad knew nothing about hockey at all. My mom is a huge Rangers fan. She grew up watching the Rangers since she was a kid, and my love of the game came from my mom, and it led to a little stint with junior hockey in the USHL, the NA, and injuries, and then to college. So it was really my mom who got it started for me, and every moment is just amazing out on the ice. And this past year, we were able to play somewhat of a season in college, being like quote unquote my first year out, and I felt different out on the ice. I finally became that person 100% that I was never able to be.
How is it with teammates and in the game? I don't know if you don't want to touch on that, that's okay. But if you do, feel free.
The tremendous support from not only my teammates, the coaches, but the athletic director, the athletic department, and just the college in general. I know we had a new president come in this year, and I did a few things with Zooms or TikTok lives, and he was at every single one. So the school itself has been amazing, and teammates, it took them a little bit of time to get used to, but they weren't mean. They weren't overly angry. They weren't, they treated me like they've always treated me, a teammate, a brother, a friend, family. And yeah, that was really good to see them kind of accept me for who I really was.
I have a theory in the sport, and first I'm going to say something. I don't think they need to accept you. In fact, I don't believe in acceptance. I think only you can accept you, Steve, and you've done a heck of a job doing it. And I'm really proud of you for that, because not only have you accepted yourself, but you love yourself, and that really matters.
Yeah, thank you.
You said they had to adjust, and what do you think the biggest adjustment that teammates had to make?
At the time, I was in a relationship, and I think it was not hard, but I mean, for them to see me as open as I was and out, kissing my then boyfriend after a game in my uniform, like little things like that. But no one ever said anything negative. No one, they always had my back. I mean, it was tremendous to see the camaraderie in the sport of hockey, where there's so few of out, gay, bi people. And it's great to see a lot more people in the LGBTQ community who are in different sports where there's not a lot of out athletes in. I would say the biggest adjustment was seeing me, whether it was in the hallway holding hands with my then boyfriend, or, just seeing me in a different category where I didn't have to hide anymore, pretend, I'm seeing have a girlfriend or those types of things.
Did you see an evolution in the language in locker rooms?
Yes, I mean, there was a lot of things said prior to me coming out, whether it was very homophobic or just a little bit. But I would say I I did it. I've said some of those things just to fit in and not look, you know, because I was still in the closet at the time and I didn't want, that secret getting out. And
Mhm.
so it's almost like you act like one of the boys, as they say. And I think that was definitely another adjustment, just, the word gay, like, oh, that's so gay, or those types of words weren't said at all this year. And I mean, that goes out just to my teammates policing themselves. Like if someone said something, the captain or an assistant captain would say something. So I really think that it did change. Obviously, when there's things in the moment, it still kind of slipped, but I understand that in the heat of the moment for the first year and especially, training camp, it was very new to them.
Yes.
And I mean, I did see them stride to make themselves better and more. They wanted to learn. I did some classes on different identities and what you can and cannot say, and they really respected that.
I think we have to give people space to grow. Those are habits that have been ingrained in us for so long. And even in yourself, like you said, like you heard that it was sort of um it's tough. I was talking to somebody earlier and it's almost like it's beaten down into us. You know what I mean? In such a negative fashion that we have a hard time even starting to accept and love ourselves, and it's all internalized. But I will say this: by coming out, by being yourself, by living your truth unapologetically, and loving who you are, you humanized an issue for them. And as much as they shift, you caused that shift. And that's really damn powerful. And I don't want you to forget that because you shifted society. Because not only will they go on and play more hockey and with different people, and will probably evolve language there, but they'll have children, they'll coach hockey, they'll do different things in the sport. And by coming out and living as yourself, you've created a ripple effect that will ultimately help somebody else's life in the future. And that's powerful. So
Thank you.
recognize that. That's really important. What do you love about hockey?
I mean, who doesn't love good playoff hockey? But besides that, I would say, you know, I've been involved. I'm 24. I've been involved with the sport for 21 years now, and I love it because I coach, I play, and I ref, and I referee at the Division 1 level all the way down to youth hockey, and to see the difference in the games from when a kid's a mite to when they're in a Division 1 college. I just had one of the kids that I used to coach. He just signed his first Division 1 contract with a college. So I love the growth of the sport when you go from these mites all the way up to the U18 and seeing them grow their own game, mold themselves, mature. And that's what I love about hockey is it's a sport that you could do, I think, until the day you die, because you could coach, you could ref, you could play in a men's league, you can do a lot. And the community is such a small community. At the end of the day, people think, oh, well, hockey. But I mean, as you know, Brock, the hockey community, everybody knows someone.
Yes,
And I really love the camaraderie that hockey brings into our lives.
completely. And I love that. That's so true. And it builds community, and it builds friendships and foundations. Um, so I want to ask you something, and I want you to really, both as somebody who coaches, plays, and officiates, how could hockey be better for you, you as an individual? How could hockey be better for you?
With that kind of language that we hear, whether it's in the locker room, on the ice, in practices, Um, I think there can be classes thrown in for these coaches who don't really understand our LGBTQ community. And there should be a class when you're going for your coaching certification on it, a class when you're going for your officiating. And then that's going to relate to the coaches relating that information to the kids, whether they're 8 or all the way up to the junior and college level. And I think that's what's going to make an impact, having people speak about what really is not really about them, but it's about a community that we need to kind of respect and understand ourselves, where we're able to give the tools to the coaches and officials to understand a lot of how the world's changed, because you have some coaches who are still, in their later years, and they don't really understand the LGBTQ community. So I think having classes for officials and coaches while they're going through those tests and those seminars, I think that would be really helpful and powerful for the game of hockey.
I think it makes a lot of sense. And for me, it's taking it a step further. It's starting off by humanizing it.
Mm-hmm.
And once we humanize it and we put faces to it, and we have people recognize how it's impacting those within these communities, from there we can educate them. They'll be more receptive to education at that point, which will ultimately have them take it more serious and have them, want to shift the culture. And that's the ultimate goal, right? And so with that said, and you've mentioned some wonderful things, the evolution you've seen and different things. We also know it's not always the easiest space for a queer person. So what keeps you in it? What keeps you in hockey?
Being around my teammates and my family, and being able to push through the hate for myself, and showing people that they're wrong, and oh, you're gay, you can't play this sport, or little things like that where people attack you, they want to bring you down, but realistically they're the ones who are insecure about themselves and can accept someone who loves the same game as them. And really, it's my teammates having my back 100%, the coaching staff, and my family and friends that support me. That's my drive, and my drive is to make those who aren't in my life anymore, whether it's whatever they're feeling, I want to make sure that they know I played Division 3 hockey, I played junior hockey, and my goal at the end of the day is I don't want kids going through the same thing I went through. I want people to not have to come out. That's another thing. I don't want people to be attacked the way that I've been attacked on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way that we're able to do and grow this game, is more people need someone to talk to, and there's got to be more resources within hockey itself to make people feel more comfortable in this sport.
I completely agree, and I think having people like you there doing it matters. So keep doing it. What gives you hope for queer people in the sport?
The support that I found. I mean, a lot of people don't realize, hockey is one of those tough guy sports or big hitting sports where people might be afraid because they don't know what old teammates, future teammates, current teammates are going to think of you. But the camaraderie is really what keeps it going. And, if your teammates love you like they should have no problem accepting you. And that's the way hockey is. Hockey is such a tight-knit group of guys. And when you're in that room by yourselves without coaches, there's a lot of different ideas and people that are there to support you who you would have never thought. So I think having definitely a good support group, or definitely the way my like teammates, you could be open with your teammates, especially coaching staff. Those are the people in your life.
Stephen, is there anything you want to add?
I would say never judge a book by its cover. I mean, we hear that a million times, but I really think that those words should really hit people hard for whoever's listening or who's going to watch, because at the end of the day, it's how you treat people is the way you're supposed to be treated, and that's lost in today's society across the board. And I think we need to start bringing that back as the days get closer and closer. I mean, love is love, and at the end of the day, that's it.
I love that. Stephen, I want to thank you. You're out there, you're visible, you're unapologetic, you're on the ice playing competitively, you're coaching, you're officiating. Every time you step onto that ice, you're breaking boundaries and shifting culture. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us. I really appreciate hearing your story and sharing your story.
No, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Awesome.